Hi, and thank you for tuning in to us. I am Lee Tolton,
I'm Joe Tolton.
and we're the pastors for West Elkton Friends. And it's a time of a pandemic right now, and some of our members don't feel safe getting out and um, breathing the air that other people are breathing as well. So we have decided to, in addition to the Sunday morning services that are at 10:30 every Sunday, we're going to put out a videotape once a week to make sure that those of you who aren't going to be in the meeting house get the chance to worship with us too.
And we wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. So some of these slides are going to be for things that you may or may not want to know about. um, Getting it to move, it doesn't want to move. Oh, there you go. We are collecting things for the food pantry in West Elkton. We're collecting garbage bags and pine sol, and also um,
For Hope House.
Yeah.
And we're gathering stuff also for, what's the next slide?
Shoes for the shoeless. This is what we need for the food pantry.
Chili beans and Velveeta, shells and cheese.
And we need socks to go with shoes for the shoeless. So our three organizations that we're raising funds for are Hope House in Middletown, and that's a place for women and children. And then the socks go to Shoes for the Shoeless, which is a place out of Dayton, but it services all of the United States and provides free shoes and socks to kids who don't have. And we're also collecting for the food pantry that feeds West Elkton and Gratis. And we ask you to take your directory and go through your directory and hold each member in the light, and let us know if there's other people that need to be on the prayer list.
Now, a reading from the letter St. Paul to the Romans. First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you, because your faith is being reported all over the world. God, whom I serve in my spirit in preaching in the gospel of his Son, is my witness how constantly I remember you in my prayers at all times, and I pray that now, at last, by God's will, the way may be opened for me to come to you. I long to see you so that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to make you strong, that is, that you and I may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith. I do not want you to be unaware, brothers and sisters, that I planned many times to come to you, but have been prevented from doing so until now, in order that I might have a harvest among you, just as I have had among the other Gentiles. I am obligated to both Greeks and non-Greeks, both to the wise and to the foolish. That is why I am so eager to preach the gospel also to you who are in Rome. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes, first to the Jew, then to the Gentile. For in the gospel is the righteousness of God revealed, a righteousness that is by faith from first to last, just as it is written, the righteous will live by faith. A reading from the book Everyday Ubuntu, written by Mugi Ngomani and published by Harper Design. Ubuntu is a concept that in my community is one of the most fundamental aspects of living lives of courage, compassion, and connection. It is one that I cannot remember not knowing about. I understood from early on in my life that being known as a person with Ubuntu was one of the highest accolades one could ever receive. Almost daily, we were encouraged to show it in our relations with family, friends, and strangers alike. I have often said that the idea and practice of Ubuntu is one of Africa's greatest gifts to the world, a gift with which, unfortunately, not many of the world are familiar. The lesson of Ubuntu is best described in a proverb that is found in almost every African language, whose translation is, "A person is a person through other persons." The fundamental meaning of the proverb is that everything we learn and experience in the world is through our relationships with other people. We are therefore called to examine our actions and thoughts, not just for what they will achieve At its most simple, the teaching of this proverb and of Ubuntu is similar to the golden rule found in most faith teachings. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But one who has Ubuntu goes a step beyond that. It is not only our actions that we are called to keep track of, but our very being in the world. How we live and talk and walk in the world is as much a statement of our character as our actions. One with Ubuntu is careful to walk in the world as one who recognizes the infinite worth of everyone with whom he or she comes into contact. So it is not simply a way of behaving, indeed, it is a way of being. Now a short story. There was an anthropologist who had been studying the habits and culture of a remote African tribe. He had been working in the village for quite some time, and the day before he was to return home, he put together a gift basket filled with delicious fruits from around the region and wrapped it with a ribbon. He placed the basket under a tree, and then he gathered up the children in the village. The man drew a line in the dirt, looked at the children, and said, "When I tell you to start, run to the tree, and whoever gets there first will win this basket of fruit." When he told them to run, they all took each other's hands and ran together to the tree. Then they sat together around the basket and enjoyed their treat as a group. The anthropologist was shocked. He asked why they would all go together when one of them could have won all the fruits for themselves. A young girl looked up at him and said, "How can one of us be happy if all the other ones are sad?"
This is a time of year that we try to make ourselves think about what we're thankful for, what we're grateful for, but have we ever seen how gratitude actually changes who we are and how we interact with other people? We can have a feeling and just say we feel grateful or say thank you, the words thank you to somebody. But if we're really grateful, then we do what Paul is saying. We are mutually encouraging one another, mutually holding each other up. It's very important to engage not just our words for thank you, but to also engage our minds and our actions and our attitudes towards each other so that we're showing the gratitude that we have. I'm going to ask you if you know about this clownfish and sea anemones. They are in a relationship. These little spikes on the anemone actually has some poison in it that if other fish come by, it will kill them. But this little clownfish stays in this anemone, and that's where they live. And so their relationship is called a symbiotic relationship, just like our relationship with each other is supposed to be a symbiotic relationship. It doesn't hurt any of those. So We have three kinds of symbiosis. There's parasitism, commen, commensalism, and mutualism. And for Christians, we're actually, here is the kingdom of God, where it's mutual and we're encouraging each other so that it's more synergistic. There's actually more that comes out of us than just, it is a 1 + 1 = 3 kind of relationship, because God is in the mix. But unfortunately, churches so many times have fallen to this side, to take advantage of people, and that is not what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be over here, helping people without judging and criticizing them. So sometimes we do stop right here, and that's where this clownfish stops, and something gives to it and it just lives around it. And a lot of times we'll do that with institutions or with relationships. And what Paul is telling us in Romans is that we don't need to stop right here. We need to keep going, so that we're giving and encouraging one another, so that each of us feeds each other's faith. We don't need to see our relationship as 50-50. When we see our relationship as 50-50, we many times forget that we're supposed to be 75-75, and that we're both supposed to be giving a little extra, and that little extra is like a tithe to God. We also aren't supposed to be this pushy and critical, and that's what the church has gotten known for, is its criticisms and its hypocrisy. And we've got to get away from that and go back to reminding people that churches are places where everyone should feel encouraged. You know, when adolescent girls, they all run off and they want to look at each other in the mirror, and they're telling them how they're going to fit in. And that's one of the things that we do in our society, as human beings who are also animals. We want people to help us to fit in. We want to belong. And so girls will look in the mirror and they'll smile at each other, and they'll be happy, and they'll tell each other what works or what doesn't work. And then they're going to go back out in the world, and they're hoping that they will become a part of a group that will not treat them badly. But unfortunately, we have taken women for so many years and put them in a parasitic relationship to the rest of this world. If we want true thanksgiving and true gratitude, then we're going to have to take a step towards equality and understand what we do in our symbiotic relationships, that we have to move from parasitic all the way over here to mutual, so that mutually we are lifting each other up, so that everybody is equal. You know that say yes to the dress thing they have on TLC? I want you to think a little bit more about what's going on in that particular thing. They have a woman who comes in to pick out her gown. She's got her bridesmaids with her. She's got her mom or her aunt and somebody whose opinion she really values. And she goes in the back and she gets her a dress on. She comes out, and the idea is, are they going to agree with her that this is the dress for her wedding? And the reason for that is that's the packaging that we put on women all through the years, so that then they are moving away from one family that might say, yes, I like that dress, to another family that might say, I really like that dress. So we form a bridge between the two to give us feedback on how we're going to fit in. with the other family. And again, we need to move towards mutualism so that we are respecting and encouraging one another no matter our gender. And this is what Paul was saying. I long to see you, and he's talking to the Romans, so that I might impart to you some spiritual gift to make you strong. That is, that you and I may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith. We need to make sure that when we're with our friends, when we're with employers or employees, when we're interacting with people, we are encouraging them. We are lifting them up. This is not to try to butter your way through the boss's office. That it is trying to seek true authenticity. If you can't find something you like about that person, take a step back, pray about it. If you can't find something you like about them, ask one of their relatives, ask one of their friends to tell you something. There has to be something that you can be encouraging of somebody. It doesn't matter if they're your enemy. It doesn't matter if they've been toxic to you. I'm not saying keep them in your close circle around you, because I don't want you in toxic relationships, and neither did Paul. So the whole idea is to be in relationship with people in a way that we're not toxic. We need to be encouraging. We need to not be critical. We need to not be judging. And the idea of Ubuntu is very much a part of this, because it is an idea that I value that of God in the other person, and that we can't become who we are truly in God's eyes until we're together. Where two or three gather together, then you have that synergy, that ability to rise for more than just two people. And I know this works, and why I know this works is because this is the first chapter of Romans, and this is the 14th. And by the time he gets to the 14th, he's talking about what they're doing right. And it says, let us pursue the things of peace and the things for building up one another. And this word pursue, it means like actively seek. Go out and find. Like Jesus said, knock and it shall be opened unto you. Seek and you shall find. This is that seek. You're going to chase that down. It's like if somebody tells you that somewhere in this room is $1 million and this is what it's going to look like. You have to look for it. That's what you're supposed to be doing with peace. You're supposed to be looking for things that bring the other person peace and things for building the other person up. You're out there trying to help them get their needs met. It is not about you. And I'm saying you have to sacrifice you. You just have to take the limelight off of you and put your compassion and your thoughtfulness on, and think about how you can help this other person. And that's true even if that person is an enemy. We say that the Quakers follow something called the spices, SPICES, and the C, the first is simplicity, and the P is for peace, the I is for integrity, but the C is for community. And this is about building community. We build community when we build relationships. And then we build society out of those relationships. Desmond Tutu built the framework for overturning apartheid in South Africa by focusing on the fact that all people are part of their community, and that if you hurt somebody else, you hurt them too. What you do affects the whole world. There's no such thing as what's in Vegas stays in Vegas. It never stays in Vegas. And it will come to haunt you. And it just will. It will. So these were some slides that were teaching history in the South African schools. and they were giving different slides about what they had talked to the government about, and what they were the instructions they had given the government when they were writing the new Constitution. And this is one of the slides that they showed to the children in the schools so that they would learn about what was told to their legislators when they are the founding fathers of the new Constitution there. And one of the things that they talked about was Ubuntu, that everyone had to be seen as needed, as sacred, as dignified. Everyone had to be respected. And that is something that should be a part of our faith. Everything that we do should be to help appreciate those that are around us. And just like stocks go up when they appreciate, when you appreciate other people, their holiness, their goodness, their sacredness goes up. And I'm not talking about if they have an addiction, feeding the addiction. You're trying to feed the good in that person. Whatever is good, whatever is truthful, whatever is honorable, whatever is of good report. You want to feed that in each other and help each other be better humans for having known each other. So the idea of gratitude comes around. This Susan B. Anthony's grave this past year, it was a 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote, and a lot of women took their stickers and went and put it on her tombstone and to thank her. And it can be done like this for all people. We can do things to honor other people, or do things in their name, or lift them up somewhere so that they are reflected in the goodness of our works. And we can do that even if somebody has passed on. And in a way, if they passed away and you're honoring what they would have wanted you to do, you're keeping part of them alive. So if say your grandfather passed away this year, and he loved the Heifer Project. So you find out how you can, buy a gaggle of geese for a small farm in the Philippines or something. You do what you can to, in that person's honor, to keep that good going about them, to keep their spirit of goodness still giving in this world. As long as you appreciate the person, they live on. So here are your queries for today. And I want you to be thankful for the people who have been encouraging to you, who helped to lift you up. And how can we be more encouraging of you? How can you accept, or can I accept, encouragement from others? And are you a positive source of encouragement to those in the community? So if we can reflect on those, I think we'll all have a happier Thanksgiving. And I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving.